everybody, welcome to another video. This is the only motorcycle channel on YouTube in case you didn't know. Lock up your daughters because we're about to talk about the most alpha Chad energy motorcycles today. These are some of the biggest, baddest, most expensive motorcycles that every insecure rider needs to straddle between their knees and flex upon his bros at bike night, his normie coworkers, and at the tech company, and any poor unsuspecting stranger who just happens to be at the gas station at the same time. A word of warning, this may not be the most flattering representation of certain bikes, because let's be honest, anyone that buys a bike to flex on people should probably have spent some of that 30 grand on therapy instead of an expensive, obscure, esoteric motorcycle just to convince the world that they are richer, faster, or cooler than everybody else. But hey, who am I to judge? Oh yeah, just the owner of one of the best motorcycle channels on YouTube pushing 1.2 million followers. Sorry about that, just had to flex really quick in honor of today's video. Without further ado, let's get into it. Here are 7 ultimate flex motorcycles. Before we get started, be sure to click that notification bell and subscribe. Also want to shout out today's sponsor, Manscaped. Going to tell you more about them later in the video. Okay, let's get started. All right, first up on our list is a perfect example of a thinly veiled motorcycle flex, the BMW R1250 GS. Disguised as a flex, this motorcycle is the quintessential middle-aged dad cry for help more than anything. After not having sex with their wives for 8 months, the average future GS rider does a Google search of motorcycles that will get me noticed. After scrolling through the internet and not being able to make heads or tails of anything, they land on BMW because it's the only brand they recognize and it gives off the F-150 vibe that aging men love. Once they start riding the thing and talking with other riders, they realize that most motorcycles don't cost $30,000 and the bike actually has some clout in the ADV world. Whenever it's parked in front of the coffee shop or microbrewery, all the other riders comment on it and mention that movie where the MMA fighter Ewan McGregor rides one around the world in 80 days. Anyway, the GS rider leans super hard into the poser ADV lifestyle. He has the bike as his profile picture on his Facebook and the background on his phone. He wears high-vis and MX boots on the ride into the office, and he begins to troll YouTube videos talking about all the extreme places he has ridden his GS, even though the odometer only has 500 miles on it. People love to flex with their R1250 GS, but it really just means they are rich, boring, old, or any combination of the three. The next motorcycle is the Yamaha MT10. There is truly no bigger flex than having zero regard for your own safety. Do you want to crash in a high-speed blaze of glory or just loop the bike backwards onto yourself at a stoplight? For a lot of motorcycles, you are limited in the way in which your motorcycle can kill you, but with the MT10, you don't have to settle. You get the best of both worlds with low-end torque and high-speed thrills. The MT10 is a flex because while it might not be the most expensive or exotic motorcycle, people are sure to infer the gargantuan stature of your testicles when you pull up to the function auto-blipping down gears while your crossplane engine pops and burbles like a supercar. It might not be the most attractive motorcycle either, with its polarizing transformer action figure dropped in a garbage disposal styling, but look at the MT10 through a pair of pit vipers after downing a few Four Locos, and it's hard to deny that the edgy looks this bike gives an intimidating nature, like a boxer who's had his nose broken a couple of times. Controversial looks aside, having one of the biggest and baddest hyper-naked hooligan machines is kind of a flex, especially if you wheelie past a group of hot babes or like jump it over a cop car or something, or ride it to the gym and flex on all the other kings in the sauna where you explain the advantages of minimal secondary imbalance in a cross-plane motorcycle engine. And if we're going to talk about flexing on your boys in the sauna, we're going to have to mention the sponsor of today's video, Manscaped. Manscaped is an industry leader in below-the-waist grooming. Didn't know there was an industry around that, but there is. Their Lawnmower 4.0 has a skin-safe ceramic blade, so you don't have to worry about chopping up any garden snakes while you trim your hedges. The motor in this groomer revs higher than a Harley-Davidson while not bothering the whole neighborhood with its quiet stroke technology. Plus, the Lawnmower 4.0 is waterproof, so you can cut the grass no matter the weather prediction. Manscaped also has a whole slew of men's grooming products, so if your lawn needs a little extra care, Manscaped has been a long-time sponsor of the channel, dating back to 2018. So if you enjoy what we do here, head over to manscaped.com/Yami to get 20% off plus free shipping on your order. Again, that is manscaped.com/Yami for 20% off plus free shipping. Thanks, Manscaped. Now back to today's video. There is no bigger flex than buying an expensive, fast, red Italian superbike, so the number 3 motorcycle today is the Ducatipanigale V4S. Next to Harley-Davidson and Honda, Ducati may be one of the most universally recognizable brands in motorcycling. A normie might not be able to identify something like a Scrambler or a Monster as being part of the Ducati lineage, but it's probably a safe bet that they would guess the Panigale is a Ducati once you told them, no, it's not a Honda. And a more seasoned rider could recognize the V4 engine sound from a mile away even before laying eyes on the bike itself. But why is the V4S more of a flex than the V4? Well, it's because you spent nearly an extra $10,000 on features you'll never take advantage of, since any serious track rider would probably just buy the V4 and then upgrade certain things to meet their specific standards anyways. So the V4S is for riders who just want all the bragging rights of having bought the more premium motorcycle. They aren't at all too concerned about the massive loss they'll take on the bike when they pass the buck and sell it for cheap 100 miles before the first Desmo valve service is due. They'll just buy something else. Flexers always do. If they're not flexing on 22-year-olds riding beginner sport bikes by referencing their bike's dry weight in kilos, they're flexing on our Ducati with some nice Italian copy pasta. Speaking of Italian copy pasta, hey, that's actually a really fitting description for this next one. The next bike on the list today is the Energica Ego Plus. You may think, what does copy pasta have to do with Energica? I'm not just making a joke about Italian cuisine. Go on their website. It has like a biblical amount of text on it. I'm not so sure on these statistics, but based on what I see in our YouTube comments, I don't think motorcyclists typically have the strongest reading comprehension skills, so I'm not sure if cramming the entirety of Dante's Inferno into the Energica landing page is a wise move from a marketing perspective. This is a motorcycle, not a Ken Burns Civil War documentary. Just put the horsepower figures in impact font on a picture of someone dragging knee. That's what we're all here for, so make it a little easy on us, please. We have little brains. Okay, anyway, Energica riders are always flexing in the way everyone with a $25,000 battery does. I get it. It doesn't use gas. I saw your vanity plate. It's a flex on like a hyper-specific group of adrenaline junkie liberal arts majors. Yeah, it's governed at 150 miles per hour, but if I tuned it out, it would do 186 easy. Minimal carbon footprint too. See this NPR sticker? Yeah, I'm a monthly donor. The only bigger flex than buying an iconic $25,000 motorcycle is buying a $25,000 motorcycle from a brand no one has ever heard of. Speaking of expensive motorcycles no one has ever heard of, man, what a segue. You can't make this stuff up. I swear, number 5 on our list is the MV Augusta Brutale 1000 RR. Joe Biden wiped out your student loan debt, so now absolved of that financial obligation, you're free to spend 30 grand on a motorcycle so you can flex on everyone. Over 200 horsepower? Check. Asking price equivalent of down payment on a home? Check. Halo 3 influence style? Check. The MV Augusta Brutale 1000 RR has all the trappings of a flex motorcycle. MV is so elite and prestigious, you can't just walk into a dealership and buy one like a normal motorcycle. No way. You must embark on the 7-step journey to enter the world of MV Augusta, which will include, but not be limited to, the submission of blood and semen samples, a scheduled recitation of the tenets of MV Augusta in front of their CEO, and signing of a contractual agreement stating that you will not trade it in for a Ducati when you get tired of constantly explaining to everyone what that funny-looking motorcycle collecting dust in your garage is. Alright, we can't talk about flex motorcycles without mentioning the KTM 1290 Super Duke. I mean, KTM's branding is all one giant flex. I'm surprised the Big Four hasn't taken out a restraining order with how aggro KTM is. It's like they contracted a retired WWE wrestler as their brand director. I imagine the board meeting went something like this. How should we describe the new Super Duke? Well, brother, I say you should talk about how it's a monster wielding a chainsaw it's about to track down and brutally murder the competition's entire family in excruciating detail. Oh, and capitalize a lot of words to get everyone's attention, like the title of a YouTube video, not the official description of a $20,000 motorcycle. The Super Duke is a ripper, there's no doubt about that. I mean, it has as much torque as most Harleys while also pushing 180 horsepower. Will it blow up and will the head gaskets maintain? I mean, maybe, but wouldn't that be the ultimate KTM flex? Hopefully the explosion would be big enough to take out a few MT10s in the vicinity. They'd probably put that as the headline in the KTM newsletter. KTM rider made martyr after brutal explosion literally destroys the competition. Buying a high-performance motorcycle from a notoriously suspect manufacturer that looks like an insect-wearing OSHA-approved high-vis workwear is kind of a flex, though. Okay, the last motorcycle on our list today is another entry from BMW. It's the S1000 RR. Why are there 2 BMWs on the list today? Well, let me remind you the purpose of today's video: flex motorcycles. If BMW owners love nothing else, it is flexing the girth of their net worth while also driving everyone frickin' crazy. German engineering, blah, blah, blah. I get it. You've got some money to spend or you're irresponsible. Let's see how much BMW values your brand simpery when they decided to start charging you monthly fuel injection fees and they drop a German E-worm right into your ECU when you don't pay the bill on time. Like, I get it, it's a cool, advanced, fast leader bike, but it has less personality than the people who ride them. And if you really want to flex on unsuspecting motorcyclists, you can drop even more cash on the super special M1000 RR. Because why would you not want to pay over $30,000 for a race spec version of a bike that's never won a championship? BMW owners trying to flex. That's who. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. I hope you had a laugh and I didn't hurt anyone's feelings too bad. Just remember, at the end of the day, riding any motorcycle is a bit of a flex. If you enjoyed the video, take a second to subscribe and hit that like button. I'll catch you in the next one. Fact: Zoroastrians leave their dead in special towers to be eaten by vultures. Zoroastrians believe that the earth, water, air, and fire are all sacred, and thus burying or cremating the dead would spread impurities to these elements. Goodbye.
Keep watching Anime News.